Facilities, a coaching staff that feels like family, or a sweet NIL deal. Those are all nice, but sometimes a recruit's decision is only based on his fit on the field. Which school helps him reach his potential as an athlete, and which school gets him to the NFL. We're looking at top blue chippers and their place scheme-wise at Power 5 programs. This is 5-Star Fits. All right, and to help us do that, we got our national recruiting analyst, Cooper Petagna, joining us now as he and Blair break down some of these prospects. Cooper, we'll start with 5-star Dylan Stewart, the number 3 edge in the 2024 class and top player out of Washington, D.C. He's considering South Carolina, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon, and a few others, just a few. But which program there do you think gives him and his style of play the best fit?
Well, I'm going to go with the safe fit. I'm going to go with the University of Georgia, who's put 25 players in the NFL over the last 2 years. That is the most since the pre-draft era, or the common draft era, since 1967. And you look at what they do on the front seven, they have that recipe for success. Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann, the defensive coordinator under Kirby Smart there. And you think about the guys that they put out, Travon Walker, Nolan Smith, Mykel Williams is going to be one of those guys here in the future. If you're Dylan Stewart and you're in his corner, how can you not want to go play for Kirby Smart in the University of Georgia? There's a lot of other really good fits out there. You talked about Alabama as well. You talked about South Carolina. I think Dylan Stewart can be a game changer, but if you're talking about Sunday potential and getting the best out of him, there's no better place to do that than Athens.
All right, Blair, this one's for you. On True or False on the show last week, you mentioned 5-star Elijah Rushing could leave the Pac-12 footprint to play college football. As the nation's top edge, he obviously has schools coast to coast fighting for his commitment, including Notre Dame, Arizona, Miami, Tennessee, Oregon, among others. Who do you think makes the most sense for him on the field?
For me, it has to be Notre Dame. There's an academic fit there. There's a personality fit as well. Off the field, the Fighting Irish check off a ton of boxes for Elijah Rushing. But then you dissect a little further and you look at what he can do on the field. They just had Isaiah Foskey drafted, and he's a player that I think has a lot of the similar traits that Elijah Rushing possesses. When Foskey was coming out of De La Salle in Northern California a couple years ago, you saw a lot of that versatility. He can do some stuff off the edge. He can do some stuff in a stand-up role. He's able to put his hand on the ground and be a really dynamic pass rusher that can use his speed and his power to get behind the line of scrimmage. And he's a player, Elijah Rushing, that has that opportunity to potentially make an impact from day one. He's the number 1 rated edge rusher in the class, according to 24/7 Sports. And he has, I think, all the tool set, the skill set that you want in a player that can get after the quarterback. It's a little bit tough to expect a true freshman to go in there and make an impact, but I think he has a lot of that makeup that could help the Fighting Irish right away. He has Tennessee, he has Oregon, he has Arizona. Schools like that are high up on his list, but I think Notre Dame, with what they were able to do with Foskey under Marcus Freeman, I think that gives them the upper hand right now.
All right, Cooper. Terry Bussey is the number 1 athlete and number 17 ranked player nationally. He recently released a top 11 that included LSU, Texas, Alabama, and Oklahoma. He's still considering a list of schools in the double digits there, so his recruitment, obviously still some time to go, but where do you think he fits best?
Well, he's one of the most exciting and most dynamic players in all of the country, and this might be a little bit of a surprise, but I'm going to go with LSU, and the reason I'm going to go with the Bayou Bengals is because they have one of the best receiver rooms in the country right now. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., guy like Kyron Lacey as well, who the Tigers are looking to emerge this fall. And when you think about that, all those guys are upperclassmen, which means that LSU is going to have some NFL departures in that room, and that's where I think Terry Bussey fits. Jaden Daniels might be on his way out after this year. Actually, we know that. And a guy like Garrett Nussmeier, the gunslinger, who we got to see at times last season, could step into that starting quarterback role for LSU. So it's going to be a wide open offense. Sure, they got guys like Jaylen Brown, Shelton Sampson stepping in, but I think Terry Bussey is so dynamic, unique. He can help them in the return game as well. They don't have a guy like this on the inside that can take the top off a defense. A 4-sport athlete. He's a sub 1,100 meter guy. He's also a guy that had over 70 touchdowns last year, 2,000 yards rushing, 2,000 yards passing. He can do it all. So I like that fit at LSU. I might be a little bit biased. Obviously, I went to school there, but I like the fit for Brian Kelly.
Bias? No way. No, I like him continuing the tradition of electric wide receivers in the Bayou there. All right, Blair, one for you. Brandon Baker out of Modern Day is the top offensive lineman in the country. He just picked up an offer from Alabama while also considering Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia. Now, we know offensive line is a position that maybe takes a year or two to develop. So which school do you think will help him do that?
Give me the Michigan Wolverines. Cooper mentioned that he may be surprising some people by picking LSU for Bussey. This might be a surprise for some people. We get this question basically every week in the chat here on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. Brandon Baker, where is he going? Is he leaning Oregon? Is he leaning Georgia? What about the hometown school USC? Give me the Michigan Wolverines and give me their development up front, their offensive line group. They've had at least one offensive lineman drafted in each of the last 4 drafts. Coach Moore there doing a terrific job developing talent. And I think stylistically, I keep going back to that word, I think it's a perfect fit for what Brandon Baker can do. They run a lot of heavy set power stuff, and he's a really strong, nimble, athletic blocker that can get to the second level, is really balanced in terms of his pass protection, in terms of his run blocking. And then the added bonus of choosing a school like Michigan for him would be to potentially play the USCs and the UCLAs, the new Big Ten members here in a couple of years, and allow him to, hopefully, play a game or two in Los Angeles. So I think I like where Michigan sits with him, and I think stylistically it might be the best fit.
Love that. Best of both worlds for him right there. All right, Cooper, take us home with this one. 5-star wide receiver Cameron Coleman out of Phoenix City, Alabama, is part of a loaded group of pass catchers in this 2024 cycle. He's the number 21 player in the country. And of course, considering where he's from, he's looking at the Crimson Tide and Auburn Tigers, but also FSU, which is close by. So which program do you think provides him with the best fit on the field?
He doesn't have to go far. And I'm going to say Auburn because of the new coach there in Hugh Freeze. You look at what Hugh Freeze did during his time at Oxford. Think about some of these names that he had: DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Laquan Treadwell, Dante Moncrief, Evan Ingram, even though he played tight end, was a guy that was heavily involved in the passing game. And when you look at Cameron Coleman, it's a guy who needs reps. Sure, he might be a 5-star. He's within the top 32, but he only had 31 receptions for 542 yards last year. So you might be wondering, how is he a 5-star with that type of production? Well, he's an elite level athlete, had a 4.48 on the laser. He also had a 10.8 broad as well. And this is a guy with the physical makeup. This is what NFL teams are looking for. The comp at the NFL level, George Pickens with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who got out of the state of Alabama, went to Georgia, and now we've seen him have some success early on in his career. So I don't think Hugh Freeze can afford to let this guy leave, but they need him early. I like the fit for Auburn. I think it makes a lot of sense for Cam Coleman as well.
All right. Thanks, Coop. Appreciate you stopping by as always. And for more from Cooper Petagna and his pal Andrew Ivins, make sure you listen to the Football Recruiting Podcast. It's every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They're breaking down the biggest storylines on the trail. You can download or listen wherever you get your pods.